She wanted to become a rabbi. Her life could be changed 100%, but she became investigative journalist. Please warmly welcome Aisha from Bosnia. Aisha?
Thank you. Thanks, Franak. Hello, I'm Aisha, Kehoe Down, an investigative journalist with OCCRP. I live in Bosnia. I'm actually from the United States, but thank you for the intro. I'm here to tell you the story of how I lost my first job as a reporter over a $40,000 toilet. So this was in 2015, and I was a stringer for what was widely agreed to be the worst paper in Cambodia. It was called the Khmer Times, and it was a fantastic job. I lived in the northeast corner of Cambodia on the border of Vietnam and Laos, and no one read what I did. No one really cared what I wrote about. I spent most of the time riding around my motor scooter and drinking beer with the local authorities. There's one thing I have to tell you about the northeastern part of Cambodia, Ratanakhari, and that is that it is the dustiest place in Cambodia. So whenever you travel from Bandung, Ratanakhari, to Phnom Penh, people will stop you and they'll be like, yeah, you're from Bandung, and you'll be like, how can you tell? And they'll be like, well, there's dust all over your clothes. There's no running water in the province. And so if you need to get clean or have a proper bath, you go outside of town to a lake, a spirit lake called Yeklaum. Okay, so there I am. I'm riding around my motorbike, drinking beer. No one cares what I'm doing. But I began to realize after a time that something really bad was happening in Bandung Ratanakhari. And that was the timber mafia. So the brother-in-law of the prime minister was running this racket whereby he was stripping the prime forest, which was really all the kind of best forest left in Cambodia, and selling the rosewood across the Vietnamese border into China. The wood would go for tens of thousands of dollars. It was an extremely lucrative trade, but the result of it was that they were burning massive swaths of forest. There were a lot of ethnic minorities, on the order of thousands of villages, that depended on the forest for their livelihood, and they were getting sick. There was pesticide runoff in the water. There began to have a methamphetamines epidemic. There was a rash of suicides. And eventually I began to realize this is important. Even though I'm just some minor reporter up here in the province, I want people to care about it. I want people to know what's happening in this province. So it was about then that the toilet happened. So I was there one day having a bath, and I came out of the lake, and I saw, at the corner of the lake, there was construction going on. And I looked at it. It was a building, and then I came to the board of directors of the lake. That was Chirk. He was there. He was sort of the community leader, and I said, well, what's going on there? And he said, well, that's a toilet. I said, well, great. This place needs a new toilet. The one we usually use has spiders the size of dinner plates. And Chirk said, no. That's not for you. I said, well, who's it for? He says, that's for the Princess of Thailand, Princess Surindhorn. She's going to pay a charitable visit to our impoverished province. She's going to donate a hospital. Actually, she's going to donate the building of a hospital. The doctors and the medical equipment will come from somewhere else. And I said, well, okay, that's fantastic. And he said, she's gonna, stop by our magical spirit lake, and she can't use a normal person's toilet. She's the Princess of Thailand, after all. So they're building one for her. I said, fine. Well, he said, do you know how much, the toilet costs? I said, no. He said, $40,000. I said, wow, that's a lot. He said, actually, the whole project of the toilet, including the smoothing of the paths and the building of the dock, that's $250,000. But the building itself and the outhouse in it, that's $40,000. So I did what a lot of people in this room would do. I called my editor, Vincent. I said, Vince, look, Princess Surindhorn of Thailand is gonna visit, they're having a toilet built for her, and it costs $40,000. He said, sure, fine, you can have page 3. So, I wrote the story. I called the governor of the province. They declined comment. I called Siam Cement Group. They declined comment. I confirmed the price with Chirk, who said it's $40,000. And then I called my friend Chani, who's on the Cambodian rural development team. And I said, hey, Chani, I got a question. Can I have a quote for the paper? And he said, sure. I said, how much would it cost to put in a toilet in rural Cambodia? He said, $200. And I said, no, a nice one, like a very, fit for a princess. And he said $2,000. So I said, okay. And that was the story, and I filed it, and it wasn't really a great piece of journalism. And then I got on the minivan to go to Phnom Penh to run some errands, and it was sort of a 9-hour ride. And while I was on this minivan, trundling down the national road, I got a call from my friend Terry, who was a journalist, formerly for Reuters, based in Phnom Penh, and he said, Aisha, there's a cocktail party for the foreign journalists in Phnom Penh. You ought to go. And I said, no, Terry, are you kidding me? No one respects my paper. No one knows who I am. Like, why would I do that? I don't want people to know what I'm doing. I said, no. Trust me. And so I went to this cocktail party. And there was the guy from AFP. There was a stringer for The Guardian. There was Deutsche Welle, DPA, and there was Ricardo from the Spanish Wire, FA. And I walked in, of course. It was quite dusty. It was coming from Rattanakerre. And, they said, who is this? And Terry's like, guys, this is Toilet Girl. And they're like, Toilet Girl. And turns out, the story had gone viral. It had been picked up by a journalist who had been exiled by the Time Monarchy over lèse majesté. He had reposted it to his, millions of followers. They had thought it was funny. It went on to Khao English, and it went on to the Cambodia Daily. And then, I gave my contacts to the nice people at the press club, and it's still there. In fact, that's my photo of the toilet. You can tell why I've never made a career as a photographer. It was exciting, and briefly I was like, wow, I've really managed to shine light on the problems of Rattanakerre province, or at least this toilet. And then I was fired. My boss wrote me an email. He said that I was, naive. I was embarrassing our paper to our sources, and that he would only ever commission food reviews from me, ever again. So then I retreated back to Rattanakerre province, where I discovered that not only was I unemployed and without running water, but also, I had tapeworms. So I'd like to take a step back here. I was, trying to make this an inspirational talk. This toilet story has actually followed me around for years as my career as a journalist. It's kind of funny, I guess. I'd like to say that, things completely get better and everything went uphill, and honestly it did. Like, I was unemployed for a time, and then I got work with the Cambodia Daily. Only then the Cambodia Daily was shut down by the Cambodian government over a trumped up tax bill, and many of my colleagues had to flee to Thailand, and then the Phnom Penh Post was shut down, and meanwhile, I found another job, but there were certainly more difficult instances since then, but things have eventually gone well. I mean, I work for OCCRP, and knock on wood, it's a wonderful place. I'd like to say, too, that the journalism that we did in Cambodia really made an impact. Only even after we reported on that timber crisis, it went on unabated. The two independent English language papers in Cambodia that I talked about, the Phnom Penh Post and the Cambodia Daily, they were closed, and the remaining paper, the paper I worked at, is now the main paper, English language in Cambodia, only it turns out that it has ties to the ruling party, the son of the prime minister. And in fact, the son of the prime minister had been texting, the editor throughout my time there and giving his input on the editorial content. Meanwhile, that same prime minister has raised the reputation of Cambodia by building an 8,900-pound sticky rice and pork cake to win the Guinness Book of World Records. And our friend Princess Rindhorn was recently given a Lifetime Achievement Award. Hold on. Cannot do that. Does not work. Next slide. There we go. By Xi Jinping. So, I'm not trying to be a downer here. Journalism is hard. What I can really say to you is, since losing that first job, I've met tens of people who've gone through the same thing. Some are in this room, some are my colleagues. Most are far braver than I. And if we knew what we were doing, would turn out well in the end, if we knew that we would actually make a difference and succeed, then maybe what we were doing wouldn't really be bravery. It takes a lot of courage to work for something, for a social initiative, for media literacy, for just the truth, speaking the truth to power. And it takes a lot of bravery to do that, not knowing what will come of it. So if you're in this room right now, you're in the best of company. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce the next speaker. Her name is Farida. She came from the United Kingdom and she's professor of Manchester Metropolitan University. Farida was trained to be horse whisperer, so she used to talk to horses, right? But you will not be talking today about this, unfortunately. Okay, please welcome Farida.
Thank you.